Hello, as usual, really. Hello, welcome to Behind the Screen, Season 8, Episode 2, Realms of Pugmire, Life on the Road specifically. Standard disclaimer applies. I don't speak for Onyx Path, nor is this project official material. All views and opinions expressed are my own, and this material will be available to buy on Canis Minor, eventually TM. I'm merely a grateful fan of the platform. I am disabled. I do experience muscle spasms and twitches that can affect the muscles of my jaw, shoulder, jaw, neck, everything really. But it can produce erratic head movements and also stuttering or slurred speech. I will deal with it as best I can, and in extremely rare cases, I will shut the webcam off or have to end the stream early. But that latter one has not happened yet, so fingers crossed that it doesn't happen this time. I do struggle with multiple trains of thought, so I will try to finish one before going on to the next, but if you raise a good and valid point in chat, which I'm constantly monitoring, I will try to acknowledge that I've seen it and move on from there. Also, extra disclaimer, not really disclaimer. I'm not feeling very well right now, so I'm going to try to push through it. But if it becomes particularly bad, I will just end the stream because I've got to look after myself first. So that's something to be aware of. If the stream is shorter than usual in the VOD, you know that I couldn't push through it. Okay, so usual things really. Let's get the Monday meeting notes recapped. For those of you who like such things, we begin with some sweet art. It is the Mayan pantheon symbol from Scion God, because that is the current crowdfunding campaign, and as of time of recording, we're at $101,407 of $30,000, so it's funded with 9 days left. If you do want to back it, the link is in the Monday meeting notes, but it's, you know what, it's also there. Why not go and give that a click and follow through to read that campaign. There is a feedback link if you would like to use it, much like the errata link that happens much later down the line. There's a breakdown on the Mayan symbols design. The current Onyx Path game line on sale this month is Legend Lore. Reminder, it's the 10th anniversary of Onyx Path Publishing this year. So each month has been focused on a different game line, and most of the books in those game lines have been 10% of their normal price. The PDFs of most of the books in those game lines have been 10% of their normal price. With accompanying discount, not like the exact same discount, but with some discounts at Indie Press Revolution as well. This month's is Legend Lore. Legend Lore is based on a long-running comic book about people from our world traveling to another world of magic, dragons, and demons, and it uses the 5th edition SRD rule set. So it'll be familiar to most role players on the internet. The rules, at least, not the setting. But you can play as yourself, you can play as a version of yourself adapted to the rules of that world, or you can play as an inhabitant of that world. It's a cool concept. Please do check it out. If you are interested, the developer will be on Steffi will be on the Pathcast this Friday, talking about the lore. If you have been following along Rich's Inktober exploits is the wrong word. Adventures? I don't know. All 31 pieces of art have now been uploaded to the World Below Discord channel on the Onyx Path Discord server. The link for that will no doubt at some point appear in chat as Nightbot drops a couple of links periodically. And they are all 31 pieces that were done over the course of last month are concept art for the World Below. So that's pretty exciting. There is currently a Redbubble sale if you're interested in physical merch. There is an announcement that there are more games in the works, but no announcement as to what they are. So if you are interested in Onyx Path Publishing and the future of the company and like where it goes beyond its current portfolio, there's other stuff in the works. Keep an eye out for that. Apparently, in a couple of months, there will be more information on more game lines in the works. So that's pretty exciting. As I said, the current crowdfunder is God. Dropped the link already this week In the media section, Friday Pathcast as Legend Lore Deep Dive with the developer Steffi Devan. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I apologise if I am not. This week's schedule on the Twitch channel, Tuesday 9 a.m. I assume EST is Eastern Standard. Hey, it's me. Hi, doing Realms of Pugmire material for eventual upload to Canis Minor. Pretty standard, usual show spiel. This is a content creation show, but also feel free to ask anything you can think of regarding to writing or running or playing role-playing games. Ideally, Onyx Path related, and if I do not know the answer, I'll try to point you to someone who can. All of these times are in EST. Wednesday, 6 p.m, Scion Origins Story Path Showcase with Rumikota. That is previously recorded. Thursday, 1 p.m, Building Character with Dixie and Eddie. Shout out to Eddie, by the way. Eddie is the mind responsible for Pugmire, without whom this season of the show would not exist. Sunday at 11 a.m, specifically a.m, Realms of Pugmire playing Fetch, and Sunday at 3 p.m, Scion Godsend. That is the Twitch schedule for the week. If you missed any of that, obviously, I will let the post roll at the end of the show, where you can see all of that information yourself. Devil's Look Gaming are the highlight of the week again. They were there last week and they're here this week. This time around, it's Hymns of the Unconquered Sun for Exalted in their full costume actual plays on Twitch. As far as I know, they do not release anything outside of Twitch, so all their most current shows aren't released outside of Twitch, I should say. So if you're like me and you prefer YouTube as a platform for your actual plays, unfortunately you're a bit out of luck. There we go. And obviously, Onyx Path News is, as ever, a thing. On sale this week, Scion Dragon. Dragon is a supplement for Scion 2nd Edition that allows you to play heirs. Those chosen by dragons to act within the world as their agents. Where the core game line, Scion Origin, Hero, etc., is very much like an action movie kind of vibe to it. Where the Titanomachy is a Cold War, sure, but you're still dealing with very visible threats. Dragon is more of an espionage feel to it. I backed it on Kickstarter when Masters of the Mythos and Dragon had the double Kickstarter, and the backer text was fantastic, so I have alas yet to read the updated text, because I just, there's only so much time in the day, and I have other things to be reading for other projects. But I have high hopes that everyone will enjoy Scion Dragon. Specifically, Scion Dragon only needs Scion Origin. You do not need Hero or Demigod to use Dragon's material. It contains everything that you would ever need to know, apart from the core rules, which are in the Origin book. Conventions, nothing has been announced. This month's game night with Onyx Path Publishing. Again, it's the last Friday of every month. It's focused on Legend lore, but any game line is welcome. The release roundup from October is now live, and that can be found there. And that is where all the projects are as of the end of October, as we're now in November. And a roundup of community content releases, including, but not restricted to, extra additional community content resources for the people who like this show or who like making their own community content. Beyond the Grave and Camp Murder Lake now have templates and art assets available for use, as well as community content guides. There are obviously other community content releases, but please do click through to the October roundup for the full list. I have one thing to check in it before I resume with my recap of the Monday meeting notes. So, obviously, as usual, things in the development status updates are things that have changed within the last week. We've got a new tasty bit, first draft, coming out for January 2023. Nothing has been announced. They're trying something new, so all Eddie will say at the moment is it's for They Came From Beneath the Sea. World Below has moved into development. Companions, which is about animal companions for Scions, that's a tasty bit. That's moved along into development. Exalted Sidereals, or Sidereals, if you prefer, whichever pronunciation, that's in editing. In art direction, we have Exigence, the Exalted 3 Sidereals, Kickstarter, Exalted 3 Crucible of Legends. Nothing's in layout. In proofing, we've got They Came From Beyond the Grave, Monsters from the Crypt. They came from Trinity Continuum Adventure is at the second proofing stage, and Exalted 3rd Edition Adversaries is with Paradox. M20 Victorian Age is in indexing. And then at press, we've got Scion Dragon, Screen, Masks of the Mythos book and Screen, Changeling the Lost, 2nd edition Kith and Kin, Trinity Continuum Mission Statements, Squeaks in the Deep Jumpstart, Trinity Continuum Aberrant Proteus Nova Compendium, which I think was the final remaining book outstanding from the original Kickstarter. It's Changeling the Lost, Hollow Quartz Novella, and Scion Dragon. Today's reason to celebrate, or more accurately, Thursday's reasons to celebrate. Thursday the 10th is the 25th anniversary of the publication of the original Aeon Trinity core book, and also a year since the Legend Lore RPG was published, so that's pretty hype. So, get excited for all of those things. Obviously, those of you who are going to... For people who join late, I'll recap this at the end, but if you have enjoyed it now, thank you for listening. Okay, so what are we doing today? I'm going to hydrate before I get into this. As you can tell, I did not sleep well. I am a little scattered, but I'm going to do my best to bring you an entertaining show nonetheless. Traditionally, this is the part of the show where I recap what we did last time. Last time I went into a breakdown of the Pugmire rule set and started with some vehicle attributes and like how to approach doing things like this. So for context, because that's I guess kind of important, I'll break down Pugmire first, then I'll explain what this book is, and then go into more detail. But if you want the full breakdown of Pugmire, there are plenty of videos out there. Blog posts, etc., or just watch the first episode of this season. But Pugmire is a streamlined and, if I may say, more elegant version of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition system reference document. So it uses the core D&D rules, for core D&D 5e rules, but slimmed down, streamlined. All of the stuff that isn't needed is thrown out. Some tweaks are made to produce the game experience that Eddie wanted, and it's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot simpler to keep track of, and it does interesting things that we might touch on, we might not touch on. I don't know where this book is going to take us, but if you know how to play D&D 5th edition, you will really easily be able to pick up and play Pugmire or Monarchies of Mao. Or Squeaks in the Deep, for that matter. This book specifically, Life on the Road, is a supplement sort of in the vein of Pirates of Pugmire, which was official. This is not official. And it's adding a host of road-based stuff. There's no chase rules in the Pugmire in the Pugmire and Monarchies of Mao books, and there are no formal vehicle rules. So I'm going to be adding those. That's what we started with last time. More on that in a moment. And there's no real travel rules per se either. So I might do some tweaking of those. But my main goal with Life on the Road, the name of the supplement, is to add not too many, because power creep and all that, but to add a decent number of road-based rule expansions and player options. So there'll be some backgrounds, there'll be some callings, there'll be some knacks/tricks, depending on what you want to call it. And obviously there'll be vehicle rules. Last time I started by explaining the vehicle attributes: sturdiness, integrity, speed. I kind of got stuck on handling, but I have a way to work around that. And it's I did this because, if I recall correctly, my reasoning was you can when writing TTRPG material of any kind, and you're kind of creating a new mechanic, let's say. I'm gonna use mechanic as an umbrella term here for chase rules, and the associated numbers and things like that. I guess rules is a better way of phrasing it. There we go. I apologize again. I didn't sleep well. When creating a new additional rules, let's say, for a game, you can start in broadly one or two places. You can start with the rule that you want to use, if you have a clear idea in mind already of how you want that rule to work, and work backwards from there. Or you can define the, I guess, sub-rules that will work together that will be drawn upon in the rule that you are trying to create. And I usually, not always, because sometimes you just have that rule already in mind and you work back, you reverse engineer the mechanics to support it you just reverse engineer the mechanics to support it. But I typically start with the mechanics or the sub-rules and go forward, and from there make the rule so I don't have to do any rewording or revisions after the fact. Both approaches have merit. There are drawbacks to both. There are pros and cons to both, I should say. But I generally believe that if you have the basics down, it allows you to make the simplest rule possible rather than writing a complex rule to begin with, reverse engineering what goes into that rule, and then simplifying the rule afterwards. So mostly this is just to save time and a headache along the way. But obviously your mileage may vary. If you find it works better to have the end to work backwards from the end point, totally valid, totally fine. We all have our own ways of working. And this show is mostly just to demonstrate how I work, but also to hopefully provide inspiration, alternative viewpoints, that kind of thing, to help you work on your own materials, or to hopefully, obviously, give you some improve your understanding of how TTRPG material is written and the difficulties and pitfalls that writers go through. I mean, I'm not an expert, obviously, but I have some experience in this field, and hopefully my goal, that particular side of things, is shown. And the hidden cost is the wrong word, but the design process is revealed. It is less obfuscated, because it's really easy to look at a book and kind of assume that all came together really easily, and sometimes it does. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it does, but other times it doesn't, and sometimes it's certain chapters can be the result of a lot of frustration and just staring at a blank page, wondering why Microsoft Word hates you so. Totally not speaking from experience here. So that's the recap. Now I was going to go straight into the vehicle side of things, and I had an idea for how to explain handling. I guess slight explanation is required. As I said last time, I don't see the point in reinventing the wheel. So if an existing mechanic or structure or rule or way of expressing information exists, I will always use that and modify it if required. So sorry, I think that was post. That threw me off. So I have used the ship kind of building rules from Pirates of Pugmire. I've adapted them, made them my own, obviously, because this is very different. But the underlying ethos remains the same of 4 stats. Each one can be modified, and things of that nature. So if you are going to, this is particularly important if you're doing community content. Obviously, you don't have to do a lot of the legwork because the developers have already, and the writers and the entire production team have already done that for you. It is up to you to use those building blocks how you will, or not just community content, but obviously if you're just doing homebrew stuff as well. A lot of the time, I want to say the vast majority of the time, but not all of the time, those mechanics, rules, what have you, have been refined to work alongside everything else in the best way possible. Now, sometimes you'll read a rulebook and you'll be like, this clearly wasn't play tested properly, or this hasn't had due attention applied to it in the editing process to make sure everything gels. And, you know, that's just... Every step of the process has a human, as far as I'm aware, behind it, and human error is a thing. But most of the time, hey, Ghost of Cinders, and thank you for the subscription. Enjoy your week's exclusivity to VODs and emotes and Discord. Well, you don't have the week's exclusivity on emotes, obviously, and Discord channel. Where was I? Cursor's been thrown off again. I so scatterbrained this morning. Well, this afternoon for me, technically. Yeah, everything has been tested to theoretically work alongside each other, and if you are making homebrew material or community content, no worries, Ghost of Cinders, no problem at all. I will remember this next time we play a game together, and things will happen. Also, I have been noticing OBS is fluctuating a little bit, so I apologize if the stream drops. That's just OBS being OBS. A lot of people have been having issues with OBS recently, so there's that. Yeah, so if you are going to make your own mechanics, obviously it helps if they gel with the game rather than stand separate to it. So that's what I was going to do. I was going to discuss vehicle handling, and then go into example vehicles, and from those example vehicles figure out a system for actually making your own vehicles. Well, for players, like designing vehicles, I suppose, technically. But I'm a big fan of procrastination, as are a lot of writers I know. And also on the Onyx Path Discord server, there is a Realms of Pugmire Discord channel. And when I went on there this morning to hype the show up, because I'm trying to get better at... That is the face of someone who just realised that they didn't actually share the link onto the Onyx Path Discord server. So I'm going to do that right now. I just need to grab the link from somewhere. Someone had posted about the fact that their Squeaks in the Deep Kickstarter book had arrived and was dry. Which is, you know, impressive considering it quote, spent quite a while in the rain. So I was like, hey, that's more impressive than what I'm going to be doing. And Eddie Webb showed up and was like, well, clearly you should do spells about making things rainproof instead. So that's what we're doing. When the creator of the game line recommends you do something and you are procrastinating, you make your procrastination useful. So we're going to do some rainproofing spells because it sounded fun to me, and I like doing spells in games that use the SRD. So I have had no time to prepare for today's stream, which is not unusual in and of itself. So please bear with me while I find example spells, and also check to see if there is anything that currently exists that I can simply repurpose. I doubt there will be, but Elemental Shield is an action that exists. So I guess. Call it travel spells, stick it in a heading. Boom, done. It's not actually done, don't worry. We will call this Rain Shield. And they'll be heading 2. And so, unlike in the 5e SRD, spells in Realms of Pugmire games have much simpler stat block. They have a casting time, they have a range, and they have a duration, and that's pretty much it. Because you have to use certain items to cast spells through, so they kind of replace the materials and components and things that the base SRD has. A quick note on spell casting, if you have never played such things before. Ranged spells function as ranged spells. Ranged spells function as ranged spells. Ranged spells that involve an attack generally function as a ranged attack. If a spell requires concentration in Realms of Pugmire games, you have to use a bonus action every turn to keep that to maintain concentration on the spell. Basically, the spells that I think I've got 2 spells in mind, and the spells that I have in mind are going to be basic spells. So they are functionally the equivalent of cantrips. The words, they fall from my brain. So I also think, due to the nature of this supplement and the nature of the spells, I'll probably make them apply to all spell lists, because they're more practical spells than flavor spells. I'm just checking how many spell lists I would have to comb through for flavor. So far, there's 2 in each. There's 2 in Pugmire, 2 in Monarchies of Mal, and I don't think Pirates of Pugmire added any magic. Please bear with me while I scan quickly through the contents. This is what happens when I don't have time to prepare, because this, as I said, this happened all of this morning. Well, all of this happened this morning, and I've been busy since then. But equally, as I mentioned every time, I have to do a lot of book referencing. This is a lot of the writing life. If you are writing content for a pre-existing game, and you do try to keep it in line with the pre-existing game wording and precedents and stuff, it is a lot of flicking through books to make sure that A, what you're doing hasn't been covered before, and B, how to specifically word what you're doing. I don't see any new spells, so I'm just going to assume it's fine. Although there are only spellcasting classes, so maybe I am missing things. Maybe chat knows. Hey chat, do you know if anything was added? Any spells were added in Pirates of Pugmire? I know spellcasting classes worked. I remembered that from when I was doing Monty Corgi's Acid Chanty's work. Ships. Oh, there we go. I found them. Don't worry. There are a couple of new spells. None of those will be covered here, so that's fine. Yeah, I think I'm happy saying these are just going to be like agnostic spells that anyone can learn because they're specifically for traveling. Whoa, hey, thank you, Plascage Plays, that works. Yes, so, huge thank you to Plascage Plays for updating the cast list, because with YouTube now having handles, I don't have to say you'll have to go to YouTube and manually search for Comrade Bubbles, because now there's an actual short URL you can use. Okay, so these are going to be, like, any spell for anyone, so I guess that would just be bracket any spellcaster. Close bracket. Actually, honestly, yeah, no, I said at the start of the episode I'm not feeling well. I'm really tired. So I will continue as long as I can, but if it's not the full 2 hours, I do apologize to anyone who is excited. Or a handful of you for the show. So, as part of the simplification process in Pugmire, I think I mentioned this last time, but characters only go up to level 10. They don't go to level 20 as they do in the base SRD. So, as a result of that, spells don't go levels 1 through 9, they go levels 1 through 5. So there's like an upper limit. This is just simple rainproofing. So at most it'll be a level 1 spell. As I said, I'll probably do a basic spell, and I'll probably do a level 1 spell, and we'll, we'll take it from there in case anything is particularly needed. I'm just trying to think which way around, like, what would make sense as a basic spell for rainproofing, and what would make sense as a level 1 spell for rainproofing. I suppose that due to the... So basic spells are usually, 1 and done. An instant minor effect. Whereas a leveled spell is it's a larger effect, or it can affect a larger area, or it has a longer duration. So I'm thinking a spell that you touch an object and it makes that object waterproof for the duration is a level 1 spell, whereas a basic spell would be more along the lines of... I guess technically you could make an argument for like an umbrella. A magical umbrella would be a basic spell. Could be a masterwork item as well, but that's by the by. Spell lists, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So basic spells: Elemental Ray, Magic Pour, Smell Magic, Blessed Bane, Sacred Flame, Spell of Dying. Yeah, those are all well, Blessed Bane isn't an instantaneous effect. Instantaneous duration, sorry, but I could see an umbrella being a basic spell. And then obviously interacting with the rules in some OBS. I swear to man, if you don't start behaving, I will be, I don't know, irked, I guess. Okay. Apparently swearing to man helped. OBS confirmed. Wants to be a good dog. Right, so Rain Shield. Let's do this as the basic basic spell. I guess I'll have to reword this to any spellcaster basics. It's really clunky, but any spellcaster basic spell technically is not inaccurate. Or basic. And because, as ever, we should strive for... I don't know why I deleted basic. As we should always strive for parity with the official material. Basic is capitalized in the rulebook, so we capitalize basic here. Also that. Casting time. 1 action. Range. Touch. And duration. You know what? Let's make this a concentration effect that can last up to an hour. because why not? Few basic spells are concentration. In fact, I don't think any are. Oh, hang on. Blessed Bane is a concentration. Never mind, ignore me. Right, D&D stuff. Ignore me. Just ignore what I just said. We don't need to know that. This needs to be bolded. But I'm making this concentration because it's functionally going to be a magical umbrella. So it's not just a fire and forget effect. You do have to maintain it to keep yourself dry. But I like to use so this is just, I guess, an insight into me as both GM, storyteller, what have you, and writer. I like players to have choice, but I like players to have to make a choice, because there's a lot of times in GMing where players have the illusion of choice, right? Where you've got something that's going to happen to them, but they have the choice of how that happens to them. There's a meme that keeps going around of someone standing in a forked path, where both paths just lead to the same place, and honestly, that's usually pretty good GMing advice. It means you don't prepare stuff that gets thrown out, and you tailor the experience based on player choice. So the choice still matters, it's just they end up at the same place. But with things that do require resources, in this instance, concentration is the resource, because the basic spell you can just cast over and over again. I like there to be a choice in resource allocation, and you can't concentrate on 2 spells. So if the character, I'll talk about it in terms of characters. If the character chooses to use Rain Shield over a different concentration spell, that is an in-character narrative choice that says that character prefers to be dry over, I don't know, blessing or baning another character, or anything else that requires concentration. And then you know that things have reached their point, have reached like tipping point, when that character decides, okay, things are bad enough that I'm going to get wet now, but I need to allocate my resources elsewhere. And it's a really small choice that in the grand scheme of things, spells like this don't affect anything, functionally speaking. It's purely going to be chosen for roleplay purposes in most circumstances. Although, as I've including the option to waterproof things in the supplement, I may have some rules relating to the effects of being, wet for prolonged periods of time. Nothing too terribly complex, because Pugmire itself, well, the Realms of Pugmire games aren't, as I said, they're streamlined. But I also, I don't like making stuff that isn't used, if that makes sense. I like to make things entertaining and interesting for people who use the material, and if there's something in the material that doesn't tie into anything, it's just there, I don't know, I feel like I could have saved the time and put that energy and effort elsewhere. So by and large, if it's in a book that is intended to be a whole experience, I will try to tie it into that experience, while also just providing it as an option. For example, this spell, probably when I get down to writing it in a moment, after I've finished talking through my design process, could theoretically protect you from, acid spray on the acid sea. It's the same thing. It's just being applied in a different fashion. And at that point, it is doing more than just keeping you dry. Or keeping an object dry. Casting time is one action, because that's kind of the default casting time. It takes no time to cast, and boom, you're done. Well, it technically does take time to cast, but that's just me being pedantic about the semantics of the game. And range of touch, because I just like the sound of how that works. It just makes sense to me that if you're making something, if you're providing a magical umbrella for something or someone, you have to be able to touch them to apply it, rather than just, you know, a ranged effect. Or it only affecting you, because it could very well be that you want to keep someone else dry, or someone else prefers to keep dry. Or, depending on the kind of character you're playing, someone may pay you to provide them with the best travel experience possible. And it starts raining, and you're like, hey, I can help with that. Boom, now you've got a magical umbrella that you don't have to carry. It just follows you. So again, it's all about choice, and spell ranges are a bit weird when it comes to choice, but obviously things to think about mostly from a design point of view. If a spell has a range of self, can only be cast on one person. If it has a range of touch, it has most of the limitations of being able to be cast on one person, while also being able to be cast on multiple, on not the caster, if that makes sense. Obviously, at any point, feel free to call me out on anything I'm saying, or ask for clarification. That's what the show's all about. And it's not just me talking to a camera. I'm literally a talking head right now as well. It hasn't escaped my notice. Okay. Again, as I said, I haven't had time to prepare any of this material today, so I'm tired and flailing and not feeling terribly well. It's perfect. The trifecta of entertainment, I suppose. Yep, so there's a short narrative bit and then the actual mechanical effect of the rules. So, create an invisible barrier of force. Hey chat, do you like big words? Do you like $5? I think it's $5 words is the saying. Create an invisible and impermeable domed barrier of force. There's your big word for the day. I mean, I'm verbose by nature, unfortunately. I try not to get too arrogant with it, but I just like words, and I can't help it sometimes. Back in your day, though, 50-cent words. Wow, inflation has really kicked in. Create an invisible and impermeable domed barrier of force for the duration. You know what? Let's. When you cast the spell. Obviously, I'm going to fall back onto D&D wording. I don't have the time. Technically, I do have the time right now to check the rules and read them. To check examples and stuff. But I don't want to spend the next 2 minutes scrolling through a PDF on stream, talking and distracting myself from wording. I'm going to get the wording down right now that I'm comfortable with, and then during the editing process, I'll go through and I'll check the actual wording that Realms of Pugmire games use. Although it does occur to me that there is one probably relatively close by if I just go to the spells list. And I can just, for example, read one. Nope, that didn't help. Will this one help? Not particularly, no. When you cast a spell, choose one creature or object of for now, when you cast a spell, choose one creature or object within range. The dome appears, let's say, 6 inches above their head or their top. Let's say topmost surface. And hovers there for the duration. It will move to follow them. And protects them from all forms of precipitation. Oh, dang, that's another good word. Precip. It's not an A, is it? No, it is not. I knew the moment I don't type precipitation that often. There we go, it's an I. All forms of precipitation. Now, this is only a basic spell, so I feel like it's not going to grant them, like, full immunity. Let's say if any liquid please bear with me while I check something. You know what? This is a cantrip. It's not going to stop damage. It'll stop it will stop the wet. Like it will stop rain and stuff, but it will break if I guess if any damage dealing object or liquid falls upon the rain shield, the spell ends. And the object or liquid continues towards the target of the spell. Because, again, it's a cantrip. It's not designed to stop you taking damage. It's designed to keep you dry in wet weather. Like, it's not cover. It's just a dome of force to keep you dry. You create an invisible and impermeable domed barrier of force. When you cast the spell, choose one creature or object within range. The dome appears 6 inches above their head or the topmost surface and hovers there for the duration. It will move to follow them and protects them from all forms of precipitation. If any damage-dealing object or liquid falls upon the rain shield, the spell ends, and the object or liquid continues towards the target of the spell. I think that kind of covers everything that we need it to cover. Waterproof object. Nope, that's the wrong heading. Again, any spellcaster. I realize I misspelled spellcaster. OBS, please behave. Level 1. This is a level 1 spell because it's going to have a slightly better effect. Helps if you click where you want to copy paste things, you fool. Keep that the same. Duration will change. I'm just going to check for precedence, but I believe I am fine to do what I want to do. Yes, so duration 8 hours. Because it literally does what it says on the tin. It waterproofs the object. So I don't particularly. I feel like because this requires a spell slot to cast, it's making a concentration spell as well. It's a bit of a harsh decision to make, let's say, without resorting to curse words or swears. So let's just give it a duration and said, you know what, let's expand the duration to 24 hours. It's waterproofing an object. That's all it does. For magic, Envelops an object. Keeps it safe. Keeps it protected against water damage. Duration of spell on object you touch is completely impermeable. I guess technically you could apply this to like, a onesie. I don't know where I'm going with this. Like if it's a full body thing, and then they'd be completely protected against acid damage, I guess. One object you touch is completely impermeable. That is the right word, and I'm doubting myself, but I'm pretty sure that's what impermeable means. Impermeable. Impossible to permeate. I am using the right word. It's just, sometimes I really, really enjoy dictionary definitions. One object you touch is completely impermeable. If this object is worn, the creature wearing it. Right, do I just want to give flat out resistance? I feel like for a first level spell, not really. In terms of game balance. Hang on, let's look at other examples of first level spells. No, I don't. However, the creature wearing it may reduce, rather than resistance. If it's just a minor damage reduction, I'm good with that. Right, I now need to check damage types. I guess acid damage? Because cold damage is ice. I guess I could specify acid damage and cold damage dealt by water. Or by liquids, I guess. Because bludgeoning is more about the force of the damage rather than the liquid itself. Force is just magical damage. The closest to heat damage I guess you'd get from this would be walking in lava. And, you know, the damage there again is more from the heat than from the actual liquid. Ignoring the weird state, the weird matter categorization of lava or magma if it's underground. Heat again is the damage there. Lightning is obviously not a liquid. Necrotic is not a liquid. Piercing damage, if you're getting that from a liquid, you're doing it wrong. I feel like poison damage traditionally is internal damage, whereas acid is like the external effects. May reduce acid and cold damage taken from liquid sources by an amount equal to your spellcasting ability. And yes, sure, at lower levels that will probably equate to resistance or even more damage reduction than resistance. But at high levels, I feel like that's an okay trade-off. It's more just the logical narrative extension of making something waterproof. Hello, Kalestis 28. Welcome to the channel. We hope you enjoy your time here. I'm going to hydrate. Right. I should probably envelops an object no larger than 10 feet to a side. Much better. Otherwise, it's like, hey, I've made this house waterproof or this ship hull. And I kind of want to step away from that. Because I want that mostly because this spell, I guess you could use it to protect a ship's hull against the ravages of the acid sea, which takes away the import of plastic hulls. Ages ago, in the before time, when life was very different. Not going too badly, Callistus, how's life going for you? I mean, I still got this show after 68 episodes, so I must be doing something right. Yeah, so what I was saying, yeah, I don't want to take away the importance of plastic in the game. And plastic hulls right now are the only way for characters to travel the acid sea, and even they take damage, just a lot slower than normal hulls. So you could... I feel like if this spell were to cover that side of things, it would have to be higher than a level 1 spell. Because the higher level the spell, the less common it is for that spell to be able to be cast. And I'm just double checking, but I'm pretty sure that Pugmire doesn't have upcasting. Or doesn't have benefits for upcasting, I should say. Again, to keep everything simple and easy to use. Obviously, there's probably other things involved in that. But all the things I'm looking at that I know have upcasting available in the SRD just don't have that option. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Depends on the spell. Some you can spend additional slots for extra dice. This is what happens when I just randomly scroll. Well, not randomly. I am targeting. I am jumping to certain spells, but it also may not be in the same section that I'm looking at, which is totally fine. Again, apologies. I had no time to prepare for this, and the last time I played Pugmire was last year for Jumpstart Month. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to say there's no upcasting for it. Moving on. Memory says you might be misremembering that. I have just read through the how spells work section, and it doesn't mention anything about upcasting. And I was looking at like Cure Wounds and Healing Word and stuff, and it doesn't seem to be that you can. But again, I'm not reading the entire book just to, the entire spellcasting section just to make sure. So, we're just going to continue. Regardless, for the purposes of right now, let the record state, after quickly glancing through the rulebook, I did not see any examples of... Specifically through the Pugmire rulebook, I saw no examples of upcasting. And I think the Monarchies of Mao spells are largely the same. But also, for the sake of consistency and completion, also, just side note, the Monarchies of Mao and Pugmire books, while yes, they are functionally the same rule set with some slight differences because they're aimed at slightly different gameplay experiences, they are both really gorgeous books to just look through. a good job was made. A good job was done when they were made. Yeah, again, looking through Monarchies of Mao, I'm not seeing any examples. I just don't want to provide an untruth, because obviously I try to use the show to demonstrate my ego. No, how anyone can write community content and how different ways of doing it, but also just to show off the game, because these games are really fun and a lot of hard work went into making them, and I truly believe the developers, writers, everyone involved deserves to get as much recognition as possible. So I don't want to give people the wrong impression of a game. But again, I'm looking through Monarchies of Mao and I'm not seeing any upcasting rules. So we're going to continue, regardless. If it were in the game, I wouldn't do it with this spell. Or if it were in the game, I'd do it with the spell. As it isn't, I'm not going to. So now I've wasted everyone's time. Can I think of another spell that we could do that would involve waterproofing? I guess making an area waterproofed. I'm just trying to think of spells that would be useful to take on the road. So waterproof object you could cast on anything to act as a roof, and that would be fine. I'm just checking to see if. So I'm not gonna use the name that I'm thinking of, because if it's not in here, it's probably not in the SRD, and I can't be bothered to open the SRD to check. Okay, so it is not in here. So let's have another level 1 spell. Remove water. It's going to do exactly what it says on the tin. It removes water from an area. Oh gosh, now I have to remember how to spell instantaneous. Instantaneous? Yeah. I mean, the word itself always looks wrong to me. It always looks like it's misspelled, but it's one of them words. You magically remove the water from an area. And when you cast this spell, you can choose a... Now, I could put horizontal plane, because it does, technically that's the floor most of the time, but you could be trying to camp on things that aren't the floor. But at the same time, I don't know if horizontal plane is too technical. I guess horizontal surface. I don't want to say flat, because one, horizontal surfaces function the same thing, and two, some people will do a very literal reading of the rules and be like, hey, this is a bumpy surface, can't use the spell there. You must choose a horizontal surface within range. That is under no more than... What do you think, chat? I feel like 6 inches of water is a lot of water. 3 inches? I guess. Just double check. I'm pretty sure Realms of Pugmire uses feet and inches. Yeah, it is. Let's say 3 inches of water. Or liquid. You cast a spell, you must use a horizontal surface within range that is under no more than 3 inches of liquid. I guess that surface becomes dry. I also need a... Let's say within 10 feet of the point you chose. You must choose a point on a horizontal surface within range of 1 inch liquid. That surface becomes dry within 10 feet of the point you chose. I mean, that's what it says. I guess I'll expand this from water to liquid, just in case, you know, there's an edge case where it's like, hey, because I like rewarding creative spell usage, and yes, most of the time this is intended to be a way to get a dry surface to sleep on. But if you've got a very specific 3-inch deep pool of acid, sure, why not? Go for it. I don't care. Comes dry within 10 feet of the point you chose. Do I need to specify? See, now I'm like overcomplicating. So obviously, when writing stuff, there is always going to be the temptation to overcomplicate things. And Eddie actually, during the Pugmire month, went into... I think it was during Pugmire month, went into... had a brief like look at how many edge cases you should try to account for in a rule, and how to approach writing rules. I generally try to make them simple and clear while accounting for as many edge cases as possible. Other people will, you know, write technically not incorrect rule that just covers all possible permutations of a situation. I'd much rather it be simple and useful. So right now my brain is telling me that in addition to this, I need to specify like how deep the depth, the dryness goes, because on a literal reading of this spell as it stands, it's a 10-foot dome, basically. Inverted dome that is dried. And I don't know how people feel about that. This is quite often a problem for me, just because I, by nature, prefer to make things exact and specific, whereas I try not to do that when writing. So if you do read any mechanics that I've ever written, I assure you there was a lot of agonizing that went into wording, and how many kind of uses I tried to account for, as will be evidenced if you go to the Scarred Lands playlist, and where I spent half an hour on one sentence. Personally, I prefer to afford for more player flexibility. All other stabilities, I try to do that too. That's why I try to step away from my initial reaction and provide that flexibility by not accounting for every circumstance. I'm going to say up to a depth of 3 feet though. 3 inches, completely random number. I just felt 6 inches was too great. It just ties it in with the depth of the liquid. That's all. Please note this spell does not prevent that surface from becoming wet again. It just removes the liquid at the time of casting the spell. Now, next thing, do I have a rider for what happens to the liquid or not? Because it could be a way of easily getting water, if I do, but at the same time also it could be a way of getting poison or acid, but I really don't. Again, it's player flexibility and player creativity, so I'm happy to do that. If you have a container large, if you have an empty container, large enough, you can fill it with the removed liquid as part of casting the spell. Otherwise, the liquid is, I guess, transported to a point of your choice within 30 feet, you can see. Point of your choice that you can see within 30 feet. Because it doesn't, like, it's not magically evaporating it, it is just moving it. Well, I guess it could magically evaporate it. You know what? Sure. There, problem solved. I don't care. Who cares? Looking at the time, I've got 20 minutes left. Why don't I just do another spell? And that's successful procrastination for a day. 4 spells. So we've got an umbrella. We've got waterproofing something. We've got removing liquid from something. What else do we do? These are supposed to be travel utility spells, so I don't particularly want them to be offensive. As in, you deal damage, not they swear at you. I didn't know where I was going with that. Please excuse my attempt at humour. Let's check existing spells to see if there's anything any holes or gaps I can cover. I mean, the obvious one is food, but I don't think it, as a system, it particularly... Hang on. I'm just scanning through the book. Yeah, it kind of, it doesn't, as a system, doesn't particularly bother tracking food and stuff, as far as I can tell at a glance. And from memory, again, the last time I actually played this was Jumpstart month last year. So I could be wrong about that. Just checking. A good way to check that kind of thing, actually, is to look at starting equipment. And in, any game, really. And if the starting equipment includes food, you're generally going to be having to keep track of food. And it doesn't, so we should be good. I guess they could do like a quick dry basic spell. That won't undo, it won't remove water damage, it won't undo it, but it will dry something instantly. Yeah, let's go with that. I just need to alphabetize these, which is a problem for the future. Quick dry. Any spellcaster. Basic. Oops, that's on me. One action seems... You know what? One bonus action, in case it ever comes up. Range touch, duration, and I'm just going to copy this because I can't be bothered to type it out again. Instantaneous. With a touch, you magically warm and dry a wet object. The spell cannot undo or repair water damage. I guess water or other liquid. Caused by water or other liquids. But it magically warms the object to a comfortable temperature. And dries it instantly. Again, we'll say no more than 10 feet to a side, just for some boundaries. With a touch, you magically warm and dry a wet object no larger than 10 feet to a side. The spell cannot undo or repair damage caused by water or liquids, but it magically warms the object to a comfortable temperature and dries instantly. Chat, can you imagine being able to just magically dry wet socks and they'll be warm as well? That would be incredible. Please wait while I engage in some word-based witchcraft. Nope. Unfortunately, that will happen when you do this. I curse as it did it again. Sometimes that happens, I don't know why. So I'm just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. This goes last because it's a W. Okay, I may have messed up. That's on me. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, and I've never really figured out how. So in theory, that's by headings, not paragraph, you fool. That's what you did wrong. There we go. So that's how you quickly alphabetize things in Word if you are working with headings. Making sure there's no extra spaces. Sometimes Word likes to insert spaces where there should not be spaces. But there we go. If you have a whole list of of things with headings, if you highlight them all and you go to the button at the top that's A to Z, on the home tab in the ribbon, A to Z with the down arrow, and then just make sure you're sorting by heading, not by paragraph. It will sort them into the appropriate list for you. As you saw, if you do it by paragraph, it separates everything out, and it's really annoying to deal with. I mean, it's not. You just do Control-Z, but it's an inconvenience, let's say. So I do still have 10 minutes left before I would normally start wrapping up, but I'm happy with what I've done for travel spells that will theoretically help with traveling. Instant dry, an umbrella, the ability to remove liquid from a campsite, and the ability to waterproof an object. And as I said, I have made some work for myself by procrastinating because now I need to figure out a way of tying this in together. But, you know, it might be useful to have those. It might not be. It didn't really cost that much time and effort. It took about an hour to do. I should also point out for those watching who have not been here before, or who have not seen the show before, this is an extended writing. This is an artificial extended writing process because I do talk things through before because I explain, because I go on tangents, you know, because I'm talking constantly while I'm reading stuff. A lot of it is slowed down, so don't assume that everything takes this long. You may find that you write faster. You may find that you write slower, and that's totally fine. There's no correct writing speed. Everyone has their comfort zone. Everyone has the amount that they can write in a day, and that's totally fine. It's different for everyone. As with pretty much everything else in life, everyone is different. Everyone has different needs, and no one is lesser for it. I know that without being observed, I can write about 2,000 words in a day, give or take, depending on mental state. And, you know, that's fine. Equally, I managed to write 335 words today, and that's fine too. At the end of the day, as long as you've got words down, it's good. It's all good. And even if you don't have words down, as long as you've managed to, you know, as long as if you have the goal to write something or to make something, and you don't manage to get any words out, but you do still think about it, even if it's subconsciously while procrastinating like I do sometimes, you've still achieved your goal. You've still worked on it. You may not have anything physical to back up to at the end of the day, but you've still made progress. And, you know, progress is important to everyone, regardless of neurodivergence or neurotypical nature. I'm just trying to think if I can think of another useful travel spell. Not particularly. So you know what? It's my show. I determine when these things happen. I'm just going to wrap up now, and I'll let you all go like 10 minutes early because you've been so good. I mean, obviously, I'm going to do the remove scent. Yeah, actually, I know how to. I know how to do that pretty quickly. Actually, we will. Do that. I guess could have a remove track spell as well. Anyway, magically remove the scent of up to 5 willing creatures. Let's say 8 hours for that. When you cast the spell, it's up to 5 creatures within range. Any creature attempting to track them via smell. It's a Nosmir, right? The remove track could potentially just remove the signs of pet. Yes, that's why I would. I'm kind of torn right now as to whether I should have this as a level 1 smell. Level 1 smell. Level 1 smell. My gosh, a level 1 spell and do them like separately. Do scent and track separately, or do a level 2 spell and do just remove traces. I might do remove traces, honestly. Let's do it that way around. You magically hinder potential trackers. For now, like, my brain's gone. I apologize. You magically hinder potential trackers. When you cast a spell, choose 5 creatures within range. Any creature attempting to track them via smell count. So I'm going to assign condition, because if they are immune to that condition, then they're tracking via other things. I would assume. Although, you know what? No. For the duration of the spell, They leave no sound and no signs of... And no physical traces. I think remove traces might be better because there might be other means of tracking which would be more relevant, which could be removed instead. Yeah. No physical signs of their passage. I might make that a level 3 spell. That seems like a mid-tier thing to me, to make them like... because there is Pass Without Trace that I could use as a base from the SRD. I think it's in the SRD anyway. Regardless, I'd reword it, obviously. That just helps with stealth stuff. But if you're just outright removing... That's active as well, so that helps them move stealthily. This is just outright removing anything you could use to track them, which I think would be more a level 3 thing. Because it's not quite up there with animating dead bodies and shapeshifting, but it's definitely above minor teleportation and the ability to climb vertical surfaces easily. Choose up to 5 creatures within range for the duration of the spell, leave no scent and no physical signs of their passage. It also doesn't apply to vehicles, I guess. You know what? Do you want to allow the caster to choose which signs of passage are being removed or all traces removed? It's just everything. For ease, again, obviously, I mean, you know this on Stable because you play Realms of Pugmire. Well, Monarchism out, but for ease, I'm trying to stick to the simplified, like, elegance of the rule set. Alternatively, you may cast the spell on a single object no larger than 20 feet to a side. That needs to be like that. So I'm the annoying player at the table usually. Oh no, so am I. Don't worry about it. May cast a spell on a single object no larger than 20 feet to the side. These spells effects apply to any creatures pulling that object. But not those within or on it. So you can cast it on a wagon, and it applies to the horses in the wagon, but not the driver or the passengers. I think that's fine. Like, they're not invisible, so if you get eyes on them, you're still going to be able to follow them. If it's a vehicle, obviously, it's going to be limited to where it can go. Actually, rather than remove traces, could it just be alter traces? How about this? For the duration of the spell, they leave a scent of your choice, or their footprints resemble a creature of your choice. My thinking here being that it's a lot more interesting from both the player point of view and the GM's point of view if you're not functionally invisible while traveling. And then that, because not both, lower that down to level 2, why not? So you could, rather than being like functionally invisible while traveling, This is more of a confusion thing. Idea you could use it to divert someone's attention as well as being able to remove signs elsewhere, but that would require 2 castings. Yes. Well, it's not a concentration spell, obviously, so you could cast this twice and do that. Definitely. Again, it's going back to the thing the point I raised earlier about I like to give players choice, but I don't want to give them too much choice because then you get, certainly if you're like me, you get analysis paralysis, and you're not sure which is the best call to make. Whereas this one, you can just cast it twice and get both effects, or cast it once and just sow a little bit of discord. I also feel like lowering it to level 2 by making it an either-or situation means that if like one of the unseen or whatever is tracking you based... Have you ever played Legend of... I have not played L5R. I've heard about L5R. If something is tracking you that only relies on one of those sensors anyway, I feel like having it as a level 3 spell that just blanket does both is slightly punishing. That's just my personal feeling, obviously. I think for now I'm happy with where this... Because this does have meaningful choice. It does have a meaningful choice, because the players may not know exactly how they're being tracked, and, you know, they might disguise their footprints, but the thing's actually tracking them by smell. So there's so confusion and will probably gain time over the follower, but at the end of the day, it's only a level 2 spell, so it's not too bad that they've been less than completely successful. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm good with that. I need to put this in the right place, of course, but I also like doing 5 things. I've discovered when I do options for players, I very much like having 5 things for them to choose from. I think 5 is it's a nice number. Obviously, there's the psychological thing of any more than 7 pieces of information and you struggle to retain it or make an informed decision based on that. 3 is nice, but it's too few, I find. Whereas 5 is that nice middle ground. 5 of things is also not terribly difficult to write, depending on what it is, obviously. If it's a book series, then yes, 5 novels is difficult to write, but... I think I'm good with that. So we've got some utility travel spells. Some for your comfort, some to bamboozle followers. Shigenja can increase the difficulty of a spell to arbitrarily ultra spell and meaningful, but not breaking way. So the shape or color of a spell could be changed, but the spell would effectively be the same thing. Interesting. Yeah, so today we've done 5 utility spells for traveling. Hopefully you've enjoyed the little peek behind the screen. Do you see what I did there? Save the document also. And it has provided some insight into spell creation, specifically, I guess, for Realms of Pugmire. It was like that mechanics in the moment the player knows what they want to do without needing to have complete forethought when spells are selected. Yeah, Vancian magic has its problems, I will admit. You know, this is a discussion that we can have on my own channel. Perfect segue. If you are enjoying the discussion, have enjoyed the discussions that have gone on today, or would like to have more, or have lingering questions, I do hang around for about 5 minutes at the end of the show, which is not just yet. There is still some stuff to get through. But I do have my own Twitch channel where I am happy to talk about pretty much anything TTRPG related. I rarely do actual plays or RPG material. I'm trying to get back into the habit of writing on stream. But it's twitch.tv/ComradeBubbles. So my habit now is to do a recap of the recap that I did of the Monday meeting notes, which are themselves a recap. So it is a cubed recap, if you will, or a recubed. Don't please forget I just said that. Monday meeting notes. Big thing. Good continuous discussion over there. I have opinions on fantasy and magic. Yes, I have. You know, that does not surprise me. Big thing to note in the Monday meeting notes. The current. Oh, you know what? Here's the link for the Monday meeting notes. Here's where I hope the links are coming through properly. Big thing to note right now, obviously, the current crowdfunding campaign is Scion God over on BackerKit. I will refresh my page. Currently, still at 101,407. They are fantastic. I'm not ghost banned or whatever it's called. $101,407. I realize exclamation God would have worked as well. Gosh dang it. So it's funded, is what I'm saying, with 9 days left on the crowdfunder. So if you're interested in the Scion game line, please do check that out. There's more information on that page than I could possibly cover in a decent time in the 14 minutes left to me. So check that out if you're interested. We also got an art breakdown of the Mayan pantheon symbol. So if you're interested in how Rich approaches the pantheon symbols, please do check that out. Also of note, it is Legend Lore Month this month as part of the 10th anniversary celebrations. So the Legend Lore rulebook and the GM screen PDF specifically, and PDF of the GM screen are 90% off on Drive-Thru-RPG. I will absolutely be picking those up, basically as soon as I'm done here, actually, because I do need to check my I need to check some stuff on Drive-Thru anyway, on the back end of things. Indie Press Revolution also have a sale, 50% off of physical rulebook and screen if you prefer your role-playing goodness physical over digital. Pathcast on Friday also features Steffi in an interview with Matthew about the lore of Legend Lore. Thank you, Plastic Age Plays, for dropping that link in chat. All of Richard's Inktober artwork is compiled in the World Below channel on the Onyx Path Discord server. So concept art for the World Below, unsurprisingly. Check that out if you're interested in the World Below. Redbubble's having a sale. The World Below is not the only new game line being developed. It is simply the only one that has been announced. Sad times. My submission was rejected. A moment for what could have been. That's fine. Coming up on the channel, obviously, today for another 10 minutes is this show. All times in Eastern Standard. I assume the S is standard. Wednesday, 6 p.m, Scion Origin Story Path Showcase with Hiromi Kota, previously recorded. Thursday, 1 p.m, Building Character with Dixie and Eddie. Sunday, 11 a.m, Realms of Pugmire playing Fetch. And Sunday, 3 p.m, Scion Godsend. Media highlight of the week for the second week running, Devil's Look Gaming, with their Hymns of the Unconquered Sun Exalted actual play, with their costumes and their set design and everything. You really should check it out. Their productions are a feast for the eyes. It's all on Twitch, unfortunately, if you are like me and prefer YouTube content. On sale this week on Wednesday, Scion Dragon. The backer material is fantastic. I have no doubt the final product is fantastic. I simply have not had the time to read it yet. But that's more of an espionage, Cold War style gameplay experience that uses the Scion rule set. You only need Scion Origin to play Scion Dragon. Obviously, you need Scion Dragon as well, but it uses the rules found in Origin and no other Scion book. From what I remember of the backer material, you can play it alongside other Scion game lines. It's just you'll have a slightly different focus on your character, or slightly different character focus, I should say. This month's Onyx Path game night with Onyx Path Publishing, unsurprisingly, is focused on Legend Lore because that is the game line of the month. First draft for a new Tasty Bit from They Came Beneath the Sea is, that's the thing. World Below and Tasty Bit companions are in development. Exalted Sidereals is in editing and art direction. Well, the Kickstarter is in art direction, as well as Exigence and Crucible of Legends. They Came From Beyond the Grave Monsters of the Crypt, Trinity Continuum Adventure, and Exalted 3rd Edition Adversaries are proofing. Mage 20, Victorian Ages are indexing, Scion Dragon screen, Scion Masks of the Mythos, Scion Masks of the Mythos screen, Challenging the Lost 2nd Edition Kith and Kin, Trinity Continuum Mission Statement, Squeaks in the Deep Jumpstart, Trinity Continuum Aberrant, Proteus Nova Compendium, Changing the Lost Hollow Quartz Novella, and Scion Dragon are all at print. That list has decreased rapidly over the past couple of weeks, and I am so happy that my throat doesn't have to tear itself hoarse just reading the entire list in one long stream of consciousness ramble. And this Thursday is both the 25th anniversary, the 10th of November, it's both the 25th anniversary of the original Aeon Trinity core book, as well as the 1-year anniversary of the Legend Lore RPG. So those are some good reasons to celebrate. If you have missed this show, one, why would you? It's not great. Two, please be aware that there is a week's exclusivity for Twitch subscribers. So during the next week, between now and Tuesday, the 15th, if you want to watch it, to recap, to rewatch, whatever, you will have to be a Twitch subscriber, and you'll be able to watch it through twitch.tv/the Onyx Path. After that point, it will be available on twitch.tv/the Onyx Path for anyone to watch. And it will also be available, I want to try out this new command because it's a shiny new thing. It will be available at my YouTube channel in a playlist with the previous episode. My YouTube channel hosts playlists of all of the seasons of this show. Onyx Path were kind enough to let me keep control of my show and put it on my channel. So go and show me some love, please. I beg you. I need the gratification and not gratification. That's the wrong word. Validation of support. There we go. Yes, I mentioned this earlier, but if you do have any lingering questions, I do also stream at twitch.tv/ComradeBubbles. That one is lowercase, because Twitch URLs are lowercase. I'm just trying to think. This show is bi-weekly or fortnightly if you prefer, so if you are interested in the show, and perhaps know other people who may be interested, the next episode will be on the 22nd of November. We'll probably return to the vehicles rules and theoretically finish them. So if you do know anyone who might be interested in that side of things, please do obviously spread the show with them. Just promote Onyx Path in general to them. They make good games. I think that's it. I can't think of anything that would prevent me from streaming on the 22nd of November. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will be around for about 5 minutes or so after the post-roll starts. I'll let that roll a couple of times. And then, the stream will end until tomorrow. And if you think of anything, please do reach out on Twitter, Comrade Bubbles. I'll be responsive on there until it becomes too awkward to not be. But as I say, I also stream on Twitch, so if you have questions, and follow my Twitch channel and ask there, or in YouTube comments. Those are also a way that you can get in touch with me that I keep forgetting to mention. But I think that's it. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can link it to your Twitch account to get a Prime Gaming subscription, which is one free subscription to a channel of your choice per month. It works out exactly the same as a Tier 1 subscription that would ordinarily cost $4.99, I think. But, it costs you figuratively no money. You've paid for it in your Amazon Prime account, but, it's there. If you want to use it, you can use it here and get those sweet, sweet Onyx Path emotes and access to videos a week before the public does. And if you're on the Onyx Path Discord server, which Nightbot has shared the link for a couple of times, I believe there is in fact a subscriber-only Discord channel. But I think that's it for me for 2 weeks. Thank you all for watching. I hope this has been slightly entertaining and insightful. I apologise that I've been a bit scattered today. I did not sleep well. So I'm dealing with sleep deprivation, which is not good for stream of consciousness rambling. But hopefully I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Please do stay safe, please do stay healthy, please do stay wholesome. If you do have the option to do so, please do get a COVID booster. The pandemic is not over, despite what the media would have us believe. And also, please do wear a mask when you go outside, because vulnerable people like myself Kind of feel like we're getting the raw end of the deal by people saying they don't care anymore. And I'll be honest, I don't want my lungs to collapse. And I'm sure you don't want them to either. Now that I've got that guilt trip out of the way, much love to you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.